Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I take a lot of trades and I like looking at charts often. We're going to look at the broader market today. We're going to check in on the cannabis sector with a lot of profit taking, following up with some of the insights from the video yesterday, and we'll see where we stand heading into CPI as the bears try and shape up daily downtrends. They're going to need help from the reaction if they're going to follow through. All right, so the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both set daily lower highs today, and with the CPI reaction tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we're going to be looking at whether or not the bears are able to confirm the daily downtrend, setting the weekly lower high, or hold daily support and try and continue this daily uptrend. So the bears get the win today, but tomorrow is going to be dependent on CPI. Just to fill you all in, Lori is still with family. She will be back next week. We're going to do some sparse covering of some pregame shows. Lamont will be live tomorrow morning to go over the CPI reaction, and we'll take it from there. QQQ, same thing, daily lower high set. Must see a break of 369.15 for the bears to confirm the daily downtrend. And that level for SPY is 442.75. These are the line in the sand supports for me with the current setup. We're getting everything that we were looking for in terms of, okay, daily consolidation, significant enough retracement to scout the lower high. Now we have the lower high, and we're waiting for the next bit of information. And tomorrow is going to shift those probabilities a good bit with that reaction. Going to talk a lot about cannabis again. I'm going to keep covering this sector as long as there's significant volatility because I'm having a lot of fun trading it. But what I'm anticipating now, following up from yesterday, so CGC and ACB talked about the potential of a dash to trash scenario where them topping out marks the temporary top in the sector. And today that is what transpired. And so now we're going to be looking for daily higher lows. We're going to measure whether the retracement, whether the consolidation is healthy based on retracement, volume, and response to first hourly oversold conditions. Those are the three things that I'm going to be looking for to give me information to help determine probabilities. I also talked about yesterday why we need to use stops on these moves. And today, CGC from the high of the day, we talked about somebody's going to buy the top and going to be down 30% real quick. And so CGC down 31% from the high. It was a little bit of it took a little bit on the morning to play out. You know, the bell rang and MSOS rejected from its high of yesterday, and so did TLRY, and so did ACB. And so we see that and say, it looks like daily consolidation is shaping up. And then we had ACB V-shape recovery from that initial rejection. So here's the 2-minute time frame where we rejected on the morning. Quick little drop. I mean, little. It was a 10% drop. So 10% drop. And then we just absolutely ripped again, 39% off that low, but then that marked the top. That was all the bulls had left. And that bottom was at 934, and look at CGC follow along. So CGC hit the bottom earlier, but at 934, by the time we got back to the high of the day, ACB had already done it. There was a little bit of a lead time there. ACB got back to the high of the day, and then CGC followed very shortly after. No, it was the other way around. I'm mixing it up. CGC hit a new high of the day, ACB followed, and then CGC broke the high of yesterday. But again, just a quick climax top into a very significant pullback. And look at the volume, extremely high. And where do we look now? So, measure the retracement size on daily consolidation. I'll get to MSOS here in just a moment. First, we're going to do the Canadian names. So, anything above 66 cents is a daily high or low for CGC. We've got tons of space for that daily high or low to form. We know it's the most likely scenario. But how much of the move are we going to give back? We are creating space for an hourly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. Meaning, if we gap down tomorrow, bulls are going to be looking for a potential bounce. Then we're going to look for that bounce to top out into an hourly lower high. And then the question will be, do bears confirm an hourly downtrend for further daily consolidation? That's the next clue we're looking at in this sector. Can bears confirm the hourly downtrend? Overall, ACB held on well today. It's seeing a little weakness after hours. It's thinly traded. It doesn't really give us much info. Can ACB bears break 82 for daily consolidation to be underway? That's a key support for ACB. Overall, ACB had a better day. It was green, while all the other names that I was watching were red today. And so again, there's space for a CGC hourly lower high. MSOS. So again, one thing that I will do is if I see a resistance rejection, I will sell a position. And my mindset is then, well, what if I miss the move? What if we reject from the high of yesterday for 10 minutes and then recover? Well, if I see us reject from the high of yesterday by a few pennies and then drop down and I sell a position, I can rebuy on the resistance break. And granted, you can get chopped up that way. It does take some experience. You want to be protective, but that's my mindset. So, if we reject from 927, sell a partial position. If we keep going higher, I'll rebuy higher. That's fine because the bulls will be giving me new information. But we didn't. We rejected from that level and dumped. And that marked the temporary top. And so we then got to some extremes. And so my mindset was, all right, the 5-minute RSI is in the teens. The 15-minute RSI is in the low 20s. The hourly has not bounced. It's a stair-step drop of a lower high every hourly candle. MSOS, the ETF, has $16 million in cash to buy the underlying holdings, and we're heading into the end of the day. So I make an entry, I make an entry in MSOS for the end of the day move here, and it was just the extremes. Buying back in at 818, short terms are getting extreme, longer term mindset, meaning this isn't just a day trade for me. I'm trying to fill back some longer term mindset position. We'll be keeping an eye. This may just be the hourly lower high though, because anything under 9, whatever the high of today was, 920? Whatever the high of the day is, anything under that is just an hourly lower high. And so it's entirely possible that we set that hourly lower high tomorrow, and if we then break 808, the hourly downtrend confirms, and we head to hourly oversold conditions. The bulls really want hourly oversold to mark daily higher lows if we get there, but it's going to be dependent on the lows of today. That's the most important support tomorrow. If the lows of today break tomorrow, we scout hourly oversold conditions to be looking for the next bounce. And again, CGC bears are going to be looking for an hourly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. If we gap down, if I have cash right now, I want the bigger the gap down, the better, to be looking for a bounce into an hourly lower high, which could still be a 10% bounce. So there's a lot to be watching. And how we shape up tomorrow, we have no idea because the CPI reaction is going to be 8:30 a.m. So we're going to be patiently waiting and see the setup. I'm either going to scout a name short for an hourly lower high. I'm going to scout long on a gap down open for a bounce potentially. We'll see how we shape up. Tesla followed through initially on the morning, but then turned around. We got to remember we just went 14% in 2 days. So straight up, 15-minute stair step broke bear, and that was all the momentum that the bulls had. They then gave it back, and relative weakness formed from there. And so Tesla is another name where there's space now for an hourly lower high. Do we confirm the hourly downtrend into daily consolidation? CPI is going to have a say in that, but it wouldn't surprise us due to the size of this move over the last 2 days. So bears are watching Tesla for an hourly lower high next bounce as the most likely scenario. NVDA daily inside bar held the low of yesterday on the morning, broke short-term resistance, but then gave it back. We had a nice 15-minute, where was it? 15-minute lower high. There was a 2-minute rising wedge. 2-minute head and shoulders. I'm trying to figure exactly where it was where I was making the post about this, but this was a 2-minute head and shoulders marking a 15-minute lower high. We then double topped and then triple topped before finally rolling over more convincingly into the end of the day. I'm watching some rising wedges in Nasdaq names. Meta is still a potential daily rising wedge. Bull breaks have been lacking follow through. You can draw it on the 4-hour time frame. I'm not going to do that right now, but Microsoft and Meta both have potential 4-hour rising wedges for potential weekly lower highs. And keeping an eye on those, Netflix today confirmed a daily downtrend for the bears. Healthcare recovered a bit. We did break the low of yesterday, but closed certainly stronger than the morning had us looking. Healthcare is still not, I'm just watching the weekly. I don't really get much information on a day-to-day basis, but the financial sector held the low of yesterday by 4 pennies to prevent from a daily lower high being set and then ripped through resistance. And XLF today hit the highest level we've seen in over a month. And so that was an impressive move, I guess, in a month, to keep the weekly bounce going and to fend off that weekly lower high being set at this point. IWM still extremely weak. Still a potential bear flag on the daily. KRE, the regional banks, are also still pretty weak overall comparatively. But again, CPI, it's all about the Nasdaq and SPY. Do we confirm the daily downtrend and set weekly lower highs or not? If I had to be forced to choose, I think we confirm daily downtrends. If we don't this week, that's a sign of some strength that will keep the possibility of monthly cup and handles alive. The dollar, daily bull flag attempt inside bar today, but even at just that little bounce, gold rolled over into the daily bear flag confirming. Silver did not roll over very significantly, trying to build a base of support. Silver's battling for the weekly higher low here. And so the CPI reaction tomorrow is going to have a significant impact on the dollar and on the metals. Oil getting over the $88 resistance and keeping complete control. New key support, 86.15. And the energy sector with a very impressive bounce. That dump yesterday was unusual. And we hit hourly oversold and then just V-shaped back to an all-time high. And that is your best case scenario. Again, we know we want our hourly oversold to mark daily higher lows when in strong uptrends. And XLE, couldn't have asked for a better reaction. Just a bipolar 2 days here. Natural gas bulls following through in a big way from the daily uptrend confirming. Now we go to the 2-day time frame, keeping in mind that if we do not break 286.5, that it is just a 2-day lower high and a continued tightening range. But this is the first proving that the bulls have done on the daily time frame in quite some time, and they've got some volume behind it. So let's see if they're able to get out of this chop zone. But for now, we're focused on the tightening range. So honestly, I do my prep. This is part of my prep for tomorrow, but I know not to put in too much time because things are going to look drastically different based on the CPI reaction. And honestly, what the reaction is and the setup that we get, I could be looking long or I could be looking short on the exact same names. And I don't know until I see what that is tomorrow. And so we just patiently wait for that information and then make a game plan based around that information. So, hope you're well, do good things, and we'll end it here with a blooper. Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. I take a lot of trades, and I like technical analysis and charts. Checking in on the market today, we're going to continue to look at the cannabis sector as today was the day for profit taking. We're going to follow up with the insights from yesterday, and we're going to be looking towards CPI. Shit.